Hello and welcome to this pre-Christmas show, the Tin Dog Podcast. I hope you're all very excited for Christmas Day. For the people in England, you'll be getting to sit back and let your food digest while you sit there going, "Isn't Kylie thin? How old is she? Didn't Douglas Adams write this? What's going on?" While you watch Doctor Who. Of course, I promise I will do a Tin Dog podcast reviewing the Christmas special. That's the 2007 Christmas special, Voyage of the Damned, as soon as I can, straight after Christmas. And of course, in the new year, we have Torchwood, where I'll be able to do shows on that. Now, I do have a question for you, and if you could email me in, that would help enormously. Who would you like to review Torchwood? If you can cast your minds back, or indeed set your iPods or whatever MP3 player you use back to episode 2 of the Tin Dog podcast, Torchwood was reviewed by Tobias Lumick. So, would you like Torchwood to be reviewed by me or by Tobias? Give episode 2 a listen, get back to me, and whatever you lot decide, that's what I'll do. Of course, there'll still be the continuing 2005 reviews, and I do promise to do a complete set of Sarah Jane Adventure reviews. Now, there's not much show this week, so what I'm going to do instead is play for you the tribute to Verity Lambert that I recorded specially for the Who cast. There are lots of other tributes, of course, on the Who cast. I won't even tell you where the Who cast is, because obviously if you're listening to this, the chances are you listened to the Who cast already. So here you are, my thoughts on Verity Lambert's passing this year. This is Michael from the Tin Dog Podcast, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say goodbye to Verity Lambert, who left us on the 22nd of November this year. Now, I know that this will probably end up on a show with a lot of other people saying very nice things about Verity Lambert. Many of the things I'll be saying later, well, will be said by other people. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating things, but to be fair, without Verity Lambert, you wouldn't be listening to this right now. Or if you were, you'd be listening to people talking about a very, very different thing. I've looked at some of the tributes to Verity, and there seems to be recurring themes. Her ability to reduce grown men to tears and things like that. And the fact that we're here talking about Verity in connection with one programme, just one of her projects, is impressive. But then you get to look at the list of other things that she did in her career. Doctor Who was just one enormously important part to us, of a career of an incredible person. Admittedly, she might not have been liked by everyone, but let's look at what she did. In 1963, she was the youngest producer in the drama department at the BBC. Not only that, but she was female. This is groundbreaking stuff. The 60s had just begun, and she'd already worked in America. She'd been working her way up. She'd left finishing school at the age of 16, which of course means that she's middle class, or at least upper middle class, which makes her an ideal candidate for working at the BBC. But Sydney Newman got a female producer for the greatest show in the universe. But of course back then it wasn't. Without Verity, we wouldn't have the Daleks. She was the one who pushed for the use of bug-eyed monsters in our show. If Sydney had had his way, it would have been strictly historical, or at least pushing the science aspect just a little bit further than we're used to. Her achievements as a woman can't be underestimated. However, when you look at her CV, it would be impressive no matter who you were. This is a woman who, now that I'm aware of her work, was responsible for huge sections of not just my childhood and my watching, but very, very important television. Minder for the popularist amongst us, but things like The Naked Civil Servant that catapulted several issues so much further into the public eye than you would think, and made Quentin Crisp an even bigger celebrity. Adamant Lives, seen by many people as the slightly watered-down version of Doctor Who, but to me, the forerunner of Austin Powers, even more than the Avengers ever could be. More importantly than that, she was the producer on GBH. Now, for some American viewers, many of these programmes may not even have made it that far, but things like GBH were so important to us. Sleepers. Now, this was just a great little show. Nigel Havers, but they're just talking about her work. On the whole Doctor Who mystery-solving front, she was responsible for Jonathan Creek, Rumpole of the Baileys in there, the film Clockwise with John Cleese, and of course Cry in the Dark, or as it became known round our way, Dingoes Ate My Babies. Her work spoke to millions, not just thousands, and without her we wouldn't be here. People in the reviews have always said she was a popularist, but let's face it, is that always a bad thing? They say it with such vehemency. She made things popular for us. We enjoyed them, we loved them. I know everyone will be mentioning that the Doctor's father was Sydney and his mother was Verity. But that's so true. Thank you, Verity. You were a loss to us all. Before I go, just one more thing. I've found a website called WhoMix, which I'd love to recommend, but also I'd like to ask if any of you listeners out there submit your tracks to the WhoMix website, would it be possible for you to send me a copy of the MP3, because I'd like to close every one of the Tin Dog podcasts with one of your remixes of the Doctor Who theme, especially the one that I absolutely adore, which is the Who-Rhythmics, which I'll not play now because obviously I've not managed to get permission to play it just yet. Merry Christmas, I'll speak to you very soon. Be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.